Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. I will definitely still be doing my monthly tarot readings, so don't worry. This is still very much focused on tarot, but I am going to start focusing on birth charts, which is what you see here. Okay, so I did a little competition and I picked 3 people that I decided I wanted to use to do their birth charts. So our first winner was Rizz. So Rizz, this is your reading. So I'm going to be doing Rizz's birth chart. So as you can see, we have her natal chart here, going from the 1st house all the way through to the 12th house. So as you can see, I have the symbols which represent the signs, and then these symbols here represent the planets, okay, which go into that particular house. So I'm going to get into Rizz's birth chart. So we have Aquarius here, okay, so you are an Aquarius ascendant or a Aquarius rising. So this means that you are naturally intelligent, okay, and you definitely are able to teach people a lot of things. Now, the thing I like about the ascendant is it gives us a clue to our life's purpose, our life's intention during this lifetime. Now, in order to fully understand that, we also need to look at the north and the south nodes. However, with the information that you gave me, it didn't have the north or the south nodes on the chart, so I wasn't able to use that. Okay, so I'm going to be using your life purpose based on your ascendant. So this means that you can be a teacher. Okay, you know, Aquarians are all about giving information. So this means that you're very, very unique. You look at things very abstractly, in that you don't get too emotionally involved. You're able to feel your emotions, yes, but you kind of detach from it and see it from a more logical point of view. Now, Aquarians are air signs, which deals with intellect. It deals with communication. So you're probably a very good communicator. And there's a real love for humanity here. You know, it's like part of your life purpose is also to help others, you know, because Aquarians are the humanitarians of the zodiac, okay, and they just love a cause. They love helping people who you know, they feel are dealing with injustice. Okay, so you're probably very, very sociable as well. Okay, so all of the qualities that Aquarius embodies. So you probably come across as quite quirky in a good way, quite unique. You like to stand out as an individual. You don't like to be the same as other people, and people probably praise you for your uniqueness. They praise you for your intelligence. They praise you for the fact that you do have your own opinions, okay, and the fact that you do help others. So when you were younger, so this part of the birth chart represents your early life, okay? So this is like the first 7 years of your life where you build your personality. So even if you look at psychology, they say that the personality of a person is formed in the first 7 years. So this is the first 7 years, so to speak, of your life. So you probably were praised a lot for being intelligent, for helping others, for being unique, for you know, dealing with things in a logical way. Okay, so this is your ascendant. So again, your life purpose is to teach others, you know, because Aquarius has a lot of knowledge and you're here to give knowledge to other people. Now, I think Aquarius is a very spiritual sign, okay, and I think Aquarius doesn't get enough recognition for being spiritual. You know, Aquarius is known as the water bearer. That is the symbol for Aquarius, and the water that is poured down is knowledge, okay, spiritual knowledge. So you have a gift to offer the world. You know, you're here to teach people to be open to new ideas, and you're here to give these ideas to people to help advance humanity. You know, Aquarius is also a futuristic sign, so you're probably way ahead of others. You know, you're probably very forward thinking. You probably get bored of routine. You probably get bored of, you know, repetitive ideas, things that have been done the same. Now, you probably also don't like tradition, because Aquarius is a bit of a rebel. Okay, so you know, there's very much a free spirit, and just a bit of personal information. My mum is an Aquarius rising. She's a Pisces sun, a Libra moon, and yeah, she's also a Venus in Aquarius. So my mum's, again, she's a Aquarian ascendant with Venus on her ascendant, and my mum is very, very unique. She definitely has her own ideas, that kind of thing. And there's just something very original with Aquarius risings. Okay, so this is you, and yeah, we've gone over your life purpose according to your rising sign. So now we move on to the second house. Okay, so you have Pisces here. So this is about your values, what you hold dear, your material possessions. Okay, so when it comes to having Pisces in this house, you're not materialistic at all. I feel you wear your heart on your sleeve, and if you see somebody going without, you would happily give so that that person doesn't have to go without. Now, there is a danger here to maybe sacrifice yourself a little bit so that others have, and I feel you do have very good morals in the sense that your values are very much centered on giving and not being selfish. Okay, because Pisces is a very given energy, and when it comes to you know values and that kind of thing, it sort of suggests that maybe sometimes you've allowed people to overstep the mark a little bit. So be careful here, because there's a tendency for maybe people to take advantage of your nice nature. One, you have an Aquarius rising. Aquarians are very, very giving. Okay, again, they're a humanitarian, and if you put Pisces in the second house, which is your values, you really value helping others, you know, and you just have a connection with people, and you're not materialistic at all. Okay, so in terms of how you can make money, so when we look at money, we look at the second house and the 10th house. Okay, so you could make money by helping people, you know, by doing a career where, you know, you're maybe doing like care work or working with children, or just in a job where you're able to, you know, care for people, you know, using emotion. Pisces is a very emotional sign, so having just like a regular office job isn't going to work for you at all. And there's reasons why when we get into your 10th house, you know, so again, to look at money, you have to combine the second and the 10th house. So yeah, having a ordinary 9 to 5 in an office isn't going to work for you. So I think working with people where you're, you know, literally getting out there, dealing with different people, helping different people and caring for them and making sure, you know, that people are looked after is really going to be good for you to make money. Okay, and again, it's how you value yourself. So sometimes maybe you suffered with self-esteem. That's not necessarily a negative thing, but you know, it is, you know, your self-value as well. And Pisces sometimes, you know, as loving as Pisces is, you know, I have my Venus in Pisces. I'm not, you know, bashing Pisces at all, but sometimes they can tend to, you know, feel like they're not worthy. So there is a level of confidence that maybe needs to you know, go up a level. And yeah, but the good thing about having Pisces in this house is you're not ruled by materialism. Okay, it's not important to you at all. It's the connections, the bonds that you have with other people, okay, and how you help other people that is important to you. So now we move on to your third house, which is your local community. It is the house that rules your siblings, your early education, and short-term travel. Okay, so what I mean by you know, short-term travel is if you jump in a car and you go 15 minutes down the road, whereas opposed to long distance travel, which is the ninth house, it's more long term, you know, so if you was to go to a different country or something like that. Okay, so short distance travel, you probably are a little bit impatient. Maybe you don't like waiting around, you don't like traffic, you can't stand traffic jams. You know, if you're walking somewhere, you know, and you have a destination to get to when you decide to walk there, then you probably really do, you know, kind of rush to get there because you have Aries in this house. Now, when it comes to siblings, this can suggest quite a playful relationship with your siblings, although it may have been a little bit argumentative and competitive at times. Okay, so Aries is ruled by Mars, so Yeah, Mars is competitive. Um, it has a really fierce drive, okay? And again, it is competitive. It can be argumentative, but it's like you kind of got on with your siblings if you have them, but sometimes there may have been arguments, but you were able to resolve them quickly, okay? You may as well you may also have had siblings that were quite busy, you know, they were constantly on the go. So yeah, now this also could have been you in early education, you know, like elementary school, for example. Maybe sitting in a classroom wasn't right for you. Maybe you wanted to go out and learn that way, you know, learn through actually doing things rather than sitting at a desk and being taught. You know, again, Aries wants to move, it's fire, okay? You know, so Aries is about doing, and it's not an energy that's made to sit still, and there's quite a impatience there. So I feel as though, you know, with you at school, you know, you were probably very, very likable, and you probably did have a lot of friends. Um, and I feel like you probably brought a lot of joy to people. You know, I think about the areas that I know, and they have the best sense of humours, you know, so you probably were able to form good friendships. And I don't want to say like you know, being the class clown, but you definitely probably did make people laugh, you know, and that's my personal experience with Aries. You know, they have such a lovable nature, and yeah. Um so now we move on to the fourth house. So this is your home. These are your roots. So you probably had quite a stable home. Okay. Now we have Taurus in this house. So Taurus is all about stability, and the fourth house also represents the mum. So you probably had a mum who was very, very naturally attractive. You know, Taurus is about beauty. She was probably quite stable. She might have, you know, taught you to look after yourself, taught you how to put yourself together. With Taurus as well, maybe there was a bit of stubbornness there. Maybe she wanted you to dress a certain way, look a certain way, but then this Aquarius ascendant is like, no, I'm going to do what I want. I don't want to wear what you want to wear, you know. And with the Aquarius ascendant and the Taurus in the fourth house, maybe there was some kind of conflict with your mum wanting you to do things in the right way. You know, again, Taurus is all about tradition. It likes to do things traditionally. It doesn't like change. It likes stability. Whereas you um, again are an Aquarius ascendant, so you probably might have rebelled against the traditions that your mum might have set out for you. But overall, I do see a good home life here with Taurus here. There's no planets here that would upset things, okay? So yeah, you might have found your home life, and I mean this in the nicest way, but you might have found it a bit dull at times, in the sense that maybe you needed a bit more excitement, and I mean that in the nicest way. You know, Taurus is kind of slow moving energy, it's predictable. But then you have a Gemini moon, which I'll go on to in a minute as well. So maybe you were the type, you know, that went out a lot. You didn't really want to be at home, but when you did come home, you know, everything was as it should be, you know, and everything was stable, everything was secure. Okay, Taurus is a very good sign to have in the fourth house. Okay, so now we move on to the fifth house. So what you like to do for fun. And this is also the house of children and relationships. Now the seventh house is about marriage. So this is your marriage partner, but relationships, when it comes to love, start off in the fifth house. Okay, and then once it moves to a marriage phase, it moves on to the seventh, and then, you know, the eighth house. So when it comes to love, you like someone who is quite diverse, you like someone who is experimental, you like someone who you can go out and do different things with, explore things with, but you also have to have a very good emotional connection. Okay, and I say that because we have the moon here. The moon again is all about emotion, so when it comes to love, you do feel it very, very deeply, but there's a sense of maybe you attracting possibly different love interests, you know, like Gemini is ruled by the twins. Now, I also have a Gemini moon, so I'll talk about that briefly. So sometimes it's like there can be a emotional restlessness there, you know, like sometimes you feel your emotions, but it's just restless, you know, it's like, okay, I'm bored, you know, I want to go out, I want to do something. you know, that kind of thing. And there's a need here as well with a Gemini moon to really talk about your emotions. So when it comes to love, even though we're not looking at Venus right now, Venus is to do with love. However, the fifth house is, you know, kind of how you start love, how you start relationships, what you do for fun. So when it comes to love, you're going to, you know, fall for someone who you have a connection with emotionally. That's very, very important for you, but you need to be able to discuss your ideas, and who you end up with or who you fall in love with needs to really listen to your emotions. Okay, it's very, very important. And there's a need for friendship as well. And I feel your partner needs to, you know, change it up, you know, so you're not doing the same thing all the time. So you're not going to the same restaurants, you're not just sitting at home watching movies all the time. You know, you need to be out and about with your partner. You need to definitely be doing things, going to different restaurants, going to different bars, socializing. You know, Gemini is a sociable sign, so, you know, finding a partner who's also very sociable would be good for you. Now when it comes to children, now, what's interesting again is my mum has an Aquarius ascendant, which means she has Gemini in the fifth house of children. I am a Gemini moon, so it's very likely your child will have a prominent Gemini energy. So you find that children normally get the sun, their sun sign, from their fathers, and that they get their moon or their rising from their mothers. Okay, so your child could potentially have a Gemini moon. Okay, or we have Cancer here, so you could have a Cancer moon child also, you know, with the moon ruling the sign of Cancer. Now when it comes to you having children, the moon is a feminine sign, so you possibly could have a girl. Okay, so I feel like, you know, when you do have children, you could end up having a female child. It's not to say that you won't have a son. So looking at your second child, so your first child potentially could be a girl. The seventh house can actually represent your second child, so you have Leo here. So you may have a boy, you know, if you have more than one child. So you could end up, you know, having a son, but I feel with your first one, more than likely, possibly could be a girl. Okay, so you're going to have a very good emotional connection and bond with your child, okay? And you're just going to know what your child needs. You know, the moon also represents instincts, so you know you're just going to really know how to tune into your children. Okay, you're going to know exactly what your child or your children needs. Now, going back to your romantic partner, you're going to know how to nurture them. You're just going to know what your partner needs. And it's also important as well with the moon being here. The moon wants security, it wants stability, it wants to feel safe. So it's important for you to find a partner who does make you feel safe. You know, it's not like if you had Aries in this sign, Aries might like a bit of danger. You know, Aries might like the excitement of it all. With you, you need someone who can take you out, show you different things, but do it in a way where you feel safe. Now, having the moon in the fifth house, it could mean there's fluctuations in your relationships. You know, maybe sometimes you're not quite sure how you feel about potential romantic partners. Maybe one minute, you know, you feel so deeply for them, and then, you know, your feelings can kind of die down a little bit, and then they come back again, you know, because the moon is about cycles. So there's a bit of instability or uncertainty with knowing how you feel about particular partners. You know, one minute you might be really into them, and then having Gemini in here, there's a tendency for you to get bored quite easily. So this is why you need a partner who knows how to keep it fun, keep it interesting, okay, but also understand your emotional nature. Now, we have the sixth house here, which is about health. So we have Cancer in this house. Okay, so Cancer, you know, again, it's a water sign. So you need to look after your emotional health. Make sure your emotions are balanced, okay? And looking at the moon sign, how do we do that? We process our emotions. We feel our emotions, and then we speak about it. We process it mentally, okay? And there's many ways that you can do this. You can actually speak to, you know, like people about, you know, how you're feeling, even if it's, you know, a friend or, again, a partner, or, you know, just somebody that you trust, you know, and say, oh, I just feel so agitated today, this happened and that happened and it just really wound me up, that kind of thing. Or if it's something that's a bit deeper, you could, write your feelings down. Again, Gemini is all about communication. So in order to keep your emotional health balanced, you need to really, really speak about your feelings and work out how you're feeling. Okay, now with Cancer as well, it is about nurturing, so you do need to nurture yourself. Okay, there is an emphasis on here you looking after your own health and not putting other people first. Also here, when it comes to your health, sometimes maybe given to others, it's like you give too much of your energy to others, and this can kind of really drain you. So that's something to look out for as well. Now this also represents your daily routine, so you probably have variations in your day. I feel like again, you have Cancer in this house. Cancer's ruled by the moon, so it's like things kind of fluctuate. Maybe you don't have a set routine or a set pattern. You just do things day by day, like things are constantly changing. You might have like a routine for a little bit, but then it changes. Okay, and I feel like some days, what you do during the day, if it's left up to you, kind of depends on your mood. Now this is also service to others, how we help others. So you help others just by nurturing them, like whether it's making sure that your friends eat, or whether you just provide some form of comfort to them. Okay, so now we have the 7th house. Now, just like a personal story, this is really, really interesting. Okay, so just based off my mum's chart, because my mum has an Aquarius rising, her long-term partner was a Leo, and we have Leo in the house of marriage. So yeah, this was my mum's marriage partner. Now, remember I said the 7th house can also represent the second child. My brother is a full Leo, sun, moon and rising. Okay, so yeah, a Leo partner and a Leo child. So that's, just like a fun fact I thought I'd put out there. So marriage partners, Leo. So when it comes to marriage, there will be a huge emphasis on it, in the sense that, Leo is ruled by the sun. So I feel like when it comes to marriage, you and your partner will just attract attention. It's possible you could marry someone with very strong Leo tendencies in their chart. Okay, it doesn't have to be a Leo sun, but it could be a moon or a rising. Okay, so yeah, I feel like you will have a good marriage life. I feel like you and your partner will do things to make each other proud. Leo's all about pride, and it will be like a playful marriage as well. And what I like is you're not going to have difficulty when it comes to love, because the 7th house, the 5th house, sorry, and the 7th house, it's kind of about fun and excitement. So Leo is very, very fun, very, very energetic, very, very playful. They don't like to do the same thing all the time. They don't like routine. They like to do different things. So I feel like when it comes to love, you will never be bored. Okay, so if you are ever wondering, should I get married? Will I be tired? Will I be stuck? Will I have difficulties? I don't think that you will. Okay. So also when it comes to contracts and things like that, the 7th house is about partnerships and contracts. So yeah, I feel like it's not something that's on the forefront of your mind, but it's like you do think about it, and you always want to come across in your best way. Okay, when it comes to partnerships with other people. Now we move on to the 8th house. Okay, so we have Saturn and Jupiter here, as well as Mars. So this is in Virgo. So you have Virgo in your 8th house. Okay, so I'm going to kind of get to the nitty gritty. The 8th house. Yeah, okay, it's about love. It's about sex. It's about all the things that we don't want to talk about, kind of thing. So you're here to learn to open up to these things and not to be critical of it. Not to be critical of yourself. If you do, see, this sounds so bad what I'm about to say, but I have to say it how it is. See, Virgo is a critical sign. And with Saturn here, you might tend to be overcritical of yourself if you feel like you're being too sexual, you know. And this is also about other people's money. So you might, you know, see other people making mistakes with money, and you see it's like with you, you're not you're not materialistic. However, there's a tendency for you to know what other people should spend their money on, okay? Because you have Saturn. Saturn is here, it's practical, it's, you know, it's kind of like wise as well, but it is here to teach us lessons. Now, we also have Mars here. So with Mars, you are very, very intuitive at knowing what other people's next step is going to be. So Mars is all about action. Okay, it's very, very direct, and again, it is about taking action. So you're very, very good at predicting what people are going to do in everyday life, in all walks of life. You know, say for example, someone who has Mercury in this house, they would know what other people are thinking. They would just intuitively think, oh my god, you know, this person thinks this and that, you know. So with Mars here, you know what people are going to do. It's the 8th house, it's the house of other people. Okay, so you are able to give others structure, and you're able to do it in a way with Jupiter being here to lead them on to better things. So you might see the secret battles that people are facing, and with Jupiter here, you know how to, you know, provide them with optimism and what they can do to overcome their problems. Basically, it's like you see it all, and you might not understand why they don't take your advice. You know, Virgo here, you know, Virgo is very, very good at giving advice. It's very, very analytical, you know. So here you might really, really strategize your next steps. You might really think, okay, this situation has just happened. I need to be very controlled about this. I can't let people know what it is I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it, you know. And I say that because, you know, Virgo is a very logical planet. It's very analytical. It's Earth, okay? So it's not like a fire sign where it just acts on impulse. So yes, we have Mars here, but it's going to be acting in a very Virgo-like way. So it's like, okay, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to be practical. I can't just leap into action. And again, you've got Saturn here kind of telling you the same thing. So I feel you have the potential to be unpredictable, but you're very cool, calm and collected about it. And you don't necessarily like people knowing what your next step is. So say if you're going to a job interview, you might not necessarily tell people, oh yeah, you know, I'm going for a job interview. You would just do it, and then according to how it went, you might then tell them, you know, because you don't like people to know what you're doing. Now with Jupiter here as well, there is a potential for you to learn a lot through this 8th house, to learn a lot through other people. Jupiter, again, it is about luck. So I feel like here, it's not that you haven't experienced bad times, but you're going to overcome it quickly because you have Jupiter here, you know. So the 8th house is quite a tricky house. I have my moon in this house. It is very difficult. It's very unstable, but it's like with Jupiter here, it's saying that even if you do have unstable times, even if you do have uncertain times, you're going to really be able to pull yourself out of it, you know. Also with Mars in the 8th house, sometimes there might be a lack of motivation, and I say that, you know, because you're sticking Mars in a water house. So yes, it's ruled by Virgo, which is, you know, practical and that kind of thing, but it is a water house, so sometimes Mars can kind of not do too well in a water house, you know, because water can kind of make it not see a little bit lethargic. But I don't think you're lethargic, but sometimes you may just need an extra boost to get you motivated, okay. But then I feel as well, sometimes your mind might kind of overtick and think, oh my goodness, you know, I need to do this, I need to have status, again with Saturn. And then with Virgo here, Virgo can be a workaholic, so you might literally burn yourself out, you know, by working or trying to succeed, because Saturn wants to achieve, it wants to be the boss of things. And if you think that Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, Saturn's kind of like the boss, okay. And it has to work very hard to reach that high status. So there might be a sense of you, if it's not a lack of motivation, sometimes you might throw all your energy into something trying to succeed, and yeah, there might be a bit of restlessness there as well, you know, because it's like you're constantly wanting to be on the go, you're constantly wanting to succeed. But you will have a lot of luck with this with Jupiter here, so it's like you do better than what you think you're doing, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we move on to the ninth house. So this is about long distance travel. Now we have Libra here. So if you was to go on a let's say a long distance holiday, you might really want to be prepared. You might really want to kind of have control over that trip. I feel like you definitely wouldn't want to go on your own. Libra is about relationships, so you know, maybe there's potential for you to have long distance romance as well with Libra in the ninth house. So this is also about higher learning. So if you were to go to college or university with Pluto here, you would take it very, very, very seriously. But then there's a bit of indecisiveness here as well. And I'm going to be honest, so Libra, it does like love, it does like relationships. And then if you throw Pluto in here, if you were to go to college or university, I feel like you would try to stay focused on your studies, but there's potential for you to be distracted by relationships. Okay, so this is your higher learning. So I feel like here, with Libra being here, you are here to learn how to learn from others, you know, and how to give and take from others, you know, because with your chart, it all points to you being very, very giving. So it's kind of saying as well, which I didn't mention in the sixth house, is with this Cancer here as well, let other people look after you, you know, at times. Let other people nurture you at times, you know, and you're here to learn how to build relationships with others. And with Pluto here as well, it's about depth, it's about seriousness. So you're here to learn how to have serious relationships with others, okay? And Pluto can be kind of a difficult energy. I understand it because I have Pluto along with Scorpio on my ascendant, and Pluto is very much a destructive planet, you know, so there's probably a tendency for you to maybe take on other people's ideas. You know, Libra kind of sometimes in the nicest way, it can really take on the energy of its partners, it can take on the energy of others. So what Pluto is teaching you is to come up with your own ideas, you know, don't be so swept away by the energy of others, you know. And I feel here as well, you have a very good sense of other people's belief systems, you know, because Pluto is a very psychic sign and it's a very emotional sign. So here as well, you might have had other people try to influence your ideas, you know. This is also your moral values, so you probably do have very strong morals, and it probably does come through you having, you know, positive relationships with other people. But it's like your morals are constantly evolving, they're constantly transforming, you know. So through life you've really had to look at, okay, what is it I feel my morals are? What is it I feel are good morals? You know, maybe when you were younger, you were told, don't do that, that's not good. You know, you shouldn't treat people like that, you know, or you shouldn't leave other people out. And then you kind of formed morals based around inclusion and building relationships with other people. Okay, but strong relationships, you know, because Pluto is kind of adding that strength and that depth. And yes, it's like a destructive energy, but Pluto is also about depth. And when you have Pluto in terms of relationships or like morals, it's like very strong relationships that are built on a very strong foundation. So your morals are built on a very strong foundation. And I'm speaking about relationships because we have Libra, and you know, Libra does kind of rule relationships. So I feel how you come across in relationships and that kind of thing really does affect your morals, if that makes sense. So now we move on to the 10th house. Okay, so we have Mercury, we have Uranus, and we have Scorpio. Now, again, going back to my mum, who has Scorpio in her 10th house, my mum did have quite a fierce reputation. You know, people didn't really want to mess with her. Okay, so the 10th house is about your public image, your public reputation, and work. Now, when it comes to work, there can be power struggles, and I've seen it with my mum so many times. You know, bless her, she'll get a job and it seems like there were just people that were always trying to mess with her. So that could be something that you've dealt with. Now with Scorpio here, it's like you're craving for that stability, but Uranus here isn't giving you a break. So it means that you need a job where you're going to be in charge, because Scorpio is wanting to take charge of a situation. It's wanting power. It's wanting to be in control. And then we also have Uranus here, which is about change. So for you, you might be the sort of person who changes jobs regularly. Okay, now I feel for you, you have Mercury here as well. So a job where, again, like I said, with the Pisces thing, helping people, but really, really speaking to people. I think a good job for you could potentially even be counselling, because Pisces is giving you the empathy. It's giving you the emotional understanding as part of your values, okay? And then you have Mercury, so you're going to know how to communicate with people. You're going to know how to really get inside people's minds. And then you've got Uranus, which is about, you know, moving and, you know, seeing different people. Uranus likes change. So I feel going to different places, helping different people, but in a way where you're in charge. And where you're able to communicate with people, I think would be a very good job for you. Now, with your public reputation, people probably might not quite know how to take you. Again, it's not a bash at Scorpio or anything. I'm a Scorpio rising. Yeah, I completely understand. So sometimes you might feel like your reputation is completely under threat, and you might feel like you constantly have to defend and protect your reputation. You know, again, going back to my mum who has the same placement, same thing. People were always trying to fight with her. People were always, you know, talking negatively about her. And my mum was like, well, I don't know what I've done wrong to these people. But they just, yeah, you know, it can give you quite a fierce reputation. And when people speak about you, they either love you or they hate you. Okay, again, you've got Mercury here, which is about communication. So people can either, you know, really fight your corner if people are trying to gossip about you, or, yeah, you know, or they cannot. It's that kind of love or hate thing. So if you wonder why sometimes you get strong reactions from people, it could be that. But the Scorpio in your 10th house, but with the Mars in the 8th house, you see it coming, okay? And there's an intuitiveness here with your Mercury being in Scorpio. So it's a water sign, so you just naturally feel what other people are thinking. It's like you just sense what's going on. If someone doesn't like you, you know. You know what's on someone's mind. You know if someone is acting out of character. I think being like a therapist or something would be so good for you, you know. Yeah, Mercury in Scorpio, so you're constantly battling with your mind, you know, your thoughts, you know, trying to control your thoughts. It's like something might be on your mind and you might really want to investigate it. Why am I thinking about this? Why am I thinking about that? Where did that come from? Where did the root of the situation come from? You know, there's a tendency to overthink, and with Uranus here as well, it's quite unsettling. So you might think quite fast paced, and your ideas might be they might be open to sudden change, but it's like the Mercury in Scorpio wants to control it. But there's a need to allow your mind to just go with the flow a bit more and not try to control it. Just take it in and just say okay, and then that way you transform things, you know. So here in this lifetime, you are here to transform your mind, you know. Where Scorpio falls, it transforms. So you're here to transform how others see you in your public image or reputation. And it might be something, again, you know, that you think about a lot. You know, I wonder what this person thinks about me. I wonder what that person thinks about me. I wonder how I'm coming across. You're here to not care about that. And just speaking as a Scorpio rising who, you know, has dealt with a lot of this, I used to really care what people thought. And you know, with the whole Scorpio thing, if you have it in a place where it's to do with public image or on your first house, for example, where it's easily seen, people can either love you or hate you. And that really did affect me, you know, because I did feel like a lot of people hated me. And you might at certain times have felt the same way or thought the same way. You know, this person doesn't like me, and you're overthinking it and you're wanting to get to the bottom of why. what I learned is to not care what people think of me. You know, either love me or don't like me. I really don't care. And I was kind of set free in a way, because now I just honestly don't care. If you don't like me, that's your problem. I'm not going to do anything wrong to you for you to dislike me. But if you decide you don't like me, that's your business. You know, there's lots of other people that will like me, you know, because again, on the positive side of Scorpio, it's very, very magnetic, and there's just something so sexy and enticing about it, you know. So there's yeah, see here as well, when you speak to people, you might come across as quite seductive, you know, because again, Mercury is all about communication. So you can come across as quite seductive, maybe without realizing it, similar to a Scorpio rising, you know. So there's that. So to use this to your advantage, don't to the outside world, be the humanitarian that you're supposed to be, but only speak about your issues with those that are close to you, which is what the moon is saying, you know, because the moon is kind of private, okay? And with Scorpio here, you're not meant to be the sort of person who has large crowds as friends. You're meant to have a tight network of people who do look after you, who do care about you, okay? Now, this house also represents the father. Okay, so you may have had a father who, okay, so this can go many ways. So you either had a father who was quite dominant, who was quite controlling, who influenced your thoughts a lot with Mercury here. So maybe you got a lot of ideas from your dad. Or with Scorpio, it's one of two extremes. So maybe you didn't have a strong father presence, you know. Now, we move on to the 11th house. So we have the sun in the 11th house. So this is complementing your ascendant. So you have Sagittarius in this house. So here, this is really, really, again, complementing your ascendant. So Sagittarius wants to go, it wants to explore, it's happy-go-lucky. And this is the house of Aquarius. Okay, so it's about humanitarian, it's about friendship. So you see, with Scorpio here, sometimes people may try to put you down, but it's like once people talk to you and have a conversation, if people have tried to ruin your reputation, you still make friends easily. And yeah, with Neptune here, I feel like you can have a strong bond with your friends. However, sometimes you can tend to idolize your friends and maybe see them as in the nicest way, because Neptune can kind of hide things from us, and it's about disillusion. So maybe sometimes you look at your friends and you see them for more than what they are. So maybe sometimes, you know, you might have negative friends, but you don't see it. Now, we also have the sun here. So I'm going to focus on the sun and the moon heavily in a minute. Okay, but I kind of want to focus on this 11th house. So you do make friends easily, okay, but you may not see the bad in your friends, you know, again, because you've got Neptune here. So it's like, you know, you might tend to help, you might tend to make friends who are in need, who, you know, you kind of feel a bit sorry for, because this is the Neptune energy, you know, it's ruled by Pisces, and Pisces loves to help, and, you know, Pisces loves the underdog, you know. So maybe you might have friends who people have even said, oh no, don't hang around with them, you know, they're no good, but you see them as the underdog, and that makes you want to befriend them even more, you know, because you're like, oh, you know, why are people treating you like that? And with Sagittarius here, it's like you don't care. Now, with the sun being in this house, there's a huge emphasis on your friendships and what you can do to help other people. Now, as well, so the moon represents, the 5th house represents our children. Okay, so this is the children that you will have. Now, the 11th house represents other people's children. So you would do really good at helping other people, and I feel this is your calling in life. You know, your whole chart is saying get out there, be the humanitarian, really help other people. And with your Sagittarius sun, it's like you're not going to let anything get you down. Now, sometimes because you do have Neptune conjunct your sun, sometimes you might suffer again with self-esteem issues. You know, you might feel like you don't quite know where you fit in, that type of thing. And you might be the type of person who can be a bit of a wanderer. You know, you can just go from social group to social group, but it doesn't matter if you change friends. You can keep that bond with Neptune there. You know, Neptune is about bonding, it's about dissolving boundaries. So you can be friends with literally anyone. But I feel this could be your downfall, because with the 10th house, you need to keep your circle kind of small, because I feel like you are vulnerable to gossip and people speaking bad about you, which can really play on your mind. You know, but it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, you still really care about people. So I feel like, you know, you definitely attract friends. You're definitely a very likable person. I don't see anything negative here. Now, when it comes to the 12th house, so let's speak about this Venus in Capricorn. So you might be a bit confused about, you know, the type of partner that you like. So with Venus in the 12th house, it's kind of hidden. So you might be clueless. I don't know what my type is. You might have experimented with Gemini in the 5th house, you know, like maybe you've dated different types of people, and, you know, it's like, I just don't know what my type is. But subconsciously, Venus is in Capricorn here. So you want someone who has status, you want someone who can provide, you want someone who can provide you with stability, okay? You want someone who might be a little bit older, okay, because Capricorn can represent that as well, but you need someone who's going to give you that authority, someone who's going to give you that stability, okay? And if we look at Venus in Capricorn, Capricorn's opposite sign is Cancer. So it's two sides of the same coin, but they're very different. But what I've learned about Capricorns is, yes, you know, they do like status, they do like wealth, but they're actually very, very nurturing and giving. My auntie, she's a Capricorn sun, and she's so nurturing. And, you know, when I went and stayed at her house, you know, I had the best food, the best of everything. So you need someone who is going to give you the best of everything and nurture you in that way. Okay, now with Venus in here, see, this is the house of hidden enemies. This is the house of hidden enemies. So there might be underlying conflict with love partners, or you might just feel like you're constantly at war with love, or you're scared of it in a way, you know, because I think this can represent our fears as well. It's the subconscious, it's the unknown. So when it comes to love, it's like there's this confusion. I don't know what I think, I don't know how I feel, I don't know what my type is. And again, it is about that status thing. So you might kind of feel like you have to be elevated to a certain status before you're confident enough to pursue a love partner. So the best way for you to go about love is just to be yourself, be the humanitarian, strike up a friendship with someone, and find someone who will share your ideas, who you can actually communicate with, who you have an emotional bond with, who you can help elevate their status, and they can help elevate you, because progression here is very, very important. Now, just to point out that Saturn does rule Venus. So around about your Saturn return, and I'm just saying this because of the rulership of Capricorn being Saturn, around about the time of your Saturn return, so when you're 28, you could possibly find love gets easier for you. I don't know how old you are. You didn't give me your birth details, you sent me your chart, so I don't necessarily know your age, but if you're under 28, love could get better for you. And an example of this, so I have Saturn in my 2nd house, and financially I had to learn a lot. And then when I was 28, you know, I'm in my early 30s now, but when I was 28, things started to really change. You know, once I'd learned the lessons that Saturn was trying to teach me, you know, because Saturn is like a teacher. So going back to Saturn, you are here to learn to look at the undertones of things as well, get to the root cause, not take things on face value, okay, and, you know, really go after the root of the situation. So I just thought I'd mention that quickly. So yeah, around about 28, things will start to get better. Now, with Venus being in here as well, you may really like your alone time. You may really like your alone time just to do your own thing, and you might be the sort of person who's a workaholic. You know, you might really throw yourself into your job. Okay, and the 6th house is here saying don't do that. Make sure you nurture yourself, make sure you make time for yourself. Yes, it's good to nurture others, and that's very much what you're here to do, but don't lose yourself. Don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about your needs. Don't forget to take care of yourself, you know, because I feel like here with Venus in Capricorn here, there's a love for work, okay, and a love for you to kind of do things on your own as well. So let other people help you, let other people look after you as well. You know, you don't always have to do things on your own. And this can also be the house. Sometimes we don't see this aspect of ourselves because it is so hidden, but it's visible to others, okay, but it's not necessarily visible to ourselves. So I have Libra in this house, and I don't see any Libra qualities in myself at all. But when I was at work one day and me and my colleagues were speaking about, you know, how we come across, I was told I'm firm but I'm fair, which is a Libra thing. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, I didn't know I had those qualities. So you are very hardworking, and yeah, just make sure you know that, you know, you're not spending too much time working and actually forgetting about yourself here. Okay, so going back to the moon and the sun. So the moon is also like it's like what our mum is trying to teach us in this life. Okay, so your mum here with your moon in the 5th house is teaching you to have fun, focus on love, make friends, you know, like go out, have fun, party, communicate with people. Don't hide yourself away, even though with Venus here you might tend to like to do that. You know, it's like there needs to be balance here, and this could be part of the inner conflict that you have. It's like, oh, you know, I want to go out, I want to socialize because I enjoy doing different things, but I also just kind of want to stay at home. So find a balance, you know, like I want to stay at home and be on my own, or I want to do things on my own. I don't always want to be around people. So find balance between these two aspects, okay? So now the sun is like what our father is teaching us, whether, you know, your mom or your dad is in your life or not. They do teach you a lesson, okay? So with the sun being in the 11th house, it's all about your father's lesson to you is go out there and, you know, help people, make friends, you know, focus on friendship in this life. And your mum with the moon in the 5th house is kind of saying the same thing, you know, focus on fun, focus on love, you know. So yeah, you know, I definitely feel like you are a likable person. Maybe sometimes people are very drawn to you and you just are like, oh, you know, I just kind of want to, you know, have my alone time again with Venus in the 12th house. You know, so make sure that you are taking about an hour for yourself a day just to be alone, but make sure you're not taking too much time, you know, because the rest of your chart reflects someone who needs to be sociable. And by nurturing this moon, it is about friendships. You do need to go out there, you do need to mix and mingle with different people. This is how you're going to keep your emotional health and balance as well, okay? And when it comes to like mental health with Mercury in the 10th house, don't worry what other people are thinking. Don't worry too much about, you know, your reputation. Just let it go, surrender to it. This is the way to deal with a Scorpio energy, you know, and you will constantly transform your ideas. And, you know, mentally there's this is such a good opportunity having Mercury in Scorpio, because you're really going to elevate your mind and your ideas, and you do have very, very creative ideas as well. So I hope you enjoyed this reading, and yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this reading in the comments. I do birth chart readings. If that is something you're interested in for other people who are watching this reading, the information you need will be in the description link. I am again still doing my tarot. Of course, you know, I'll never stop doing tarot. I love it, and I will be putting out my December love videos soon, but I just thought I would add a little something extra into the mix. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading, and well done to Rizz for being one of the 3 winners in my competition. And yeah, I will speak to you all soon.